Okay, let's learn about variables. A variable is a way to store information inside your program. So they're like a box almost that you can put things in, take things out of. You can use variables to store text, numbers. You can store true or false values. You can also change the value of a variable later in the program if you wanted to manipulate some data. Variables are useful for storing information that you want to use later on in your program. So you can also use variables if you want to store information that you want to change later, which is why we're going to learn about variables and we're going to create some variables and print them out. So let's get started here. We'll do our first one. So we'll look at strings, numbers, and booleans. We'll start off with a string. So I'm going to add a comment here. And I'm just going to say string variable. And this is going to let us know that we are creating some sort of variable that's going to be text. Okay, so a string is a text only. And a good example of this one would be something like a name. So if we say name, let's put this on the line above. We're going to say our name is, sure, we'll use John. If you remember from the previous video, you can press tab and it will autofill for you. But we've got a student here, we've got a name called John, and then we're just going to print out that name. So it's already suggesting amazing use of Replit here with the AI. It's going to print out that variable name. So we'll hit tab there and autofill. And now what it's going to do is it's going to look for this variable called name, which is up here. And the value of name is going to be John. So when I hit the run button, if it prints out, it should print out John. So let's test that out. And there it is, John. So we've got that to work. That is for our string variable. There's another variable that we're going to look at, a number variable. And numbers get a little bit tricky, but for right now, we're just going to think of numbers all as one type of variable. We won't go into floats and integers and things like that just yet. But we have a number, so let's do another one here, number variable. And these are going to be exactly what you think. They're going to be numbers. So the suggested option here is age. We will hit tab for that, and we are going to confirm that age is equal to 25. We can do other things like, let's say, days equals 365. Hours equals 24, minutes 60, sure. Those are all variables that have numbers as their values. Okay, so let's test this out. When I go to print this, it's again going to print John because that's happening on line 3. That's happening before this one runs. And if I go to print out age here, it should print out John followed by 25. So a couple things to note. If you look at how we formatted John here, we've got quotation marks around the value of the variable there. And for numbers, we don't have quotation marks. If I was to add quotes here, it's actually going to turn age into a string. So it will still print out 25 like we want, but 25 is not acting the way that we actually think it is. So 25 in this case has become almost like the word 25. If you ever wanted to manipulate this information, maybe add 5 or take away or get a birth date or something like that, you couldn't do any type of calculation if your variable is a string. So if you wanted to do some sort of math, you need to leave it as a number, like an integer, without the quotation marks. Okay, let's do our third one, booleans. If I could type properly, there we go. So boolean variable, and these are going to be something that is either true or false. So you have two options. In this case, we can decide if they are going to be a student or not. So we're going to create our variable called isStudentTrue. Oh, it must be listening to me. So we have isStudent equals true. This means that yes, whatever we're trying to do, they are a student. We could do another thing, maybe is teacher, and we could set that to false. And then if we ever wanted to change a student into a teacher or an administrator or something like that, we can modify those values. But in this case, we're going to say is student, and that's going to equal true. You only have two options. So you can only choose true and you can only choose false. Another thing to note, important, that we're using an uppercase T here. That allows us to specify that this is a Boolean type of variable. Okay, we're going to print this out. If we print out is student, it's going to again follow first John, then 25, and then it's going to print out the value of our Boolean. So we will run that. And there we have John 25 true. Okay, so why don't we try and mix these together in a sentence that makes a little bit of sense for us. So we can decide, let's print out the name. Well, we're going to print all them out. So their name, their age, and if they're a student. And we're going to combine these variables all together using commas. So let's mix these together in a sentence. Wow, my typing's awful today. All right, it did show a little preview there of what we're going to type, but we're going to type this all out just on our own. So we're going to start with our print. And remember that printing allows us to put anything inside of these parentheses here, and it will print it out for us. If you want to join text with variables, we're just going to separate them with commas. So every time that we have a new type of information or a new piece of data, whether it's text or a variable, we're going to separate them with commas. So we're going to start with name, because that's the student's name or the name of the person that we're going to write in the sentence. And then you can see a little futuristic suggestion here of what's going to happen. Then we will say is age years old. We're going to take away this part here. Why don't we ask it a question? We can say is a student question mark, and then we will add that is student variable there. So it should say John is 25 years old. Is a student true or false? So let's run that here and see what it says. John is 25 years old. Is a student true? So we could modify this a little bit better. Put a period there. We could even say something like name is a student true. So if we run that again, we're using name twice in here, but John is 25 years old. John is a student true. So that is using our information properly. We can modify values. So remember we talked about using information, storing it in a box, taking it out, changing it up later on in the program. This would be somewhere later in our program that we want to maybe modify the name or the age or the value of their true false for student. So let's change some values up. Let's say that our new, I'm going to say, let's change some values up. So name, let's do our new name as Jane. Okay, our new age is going to be 30. Jane is 30 years old, sure. Is Jane a student at 30 years old? I'm going to guess probably not. So there we have a new name, a new age, and is a student. If we take this previous sentence and we paste that down here to run it again with the new values. If we hit run, it should give us our new sentence, and there we have it. So John is 25 years old. John is a student. True. Jane is 30 years old. Jane is a student. False. Perfect. Just a side note, if you wanted to speed up your code, let's say we had a bunch of things that we wanted to change here. So like name, age, and is student. If we wanted to do that all at the same time, we can put them all on the same line as long as we separate our variables with commas and then give our values separated by commas in the same order. So this first value is going to be attached to the first variable, the second to the second, and the third to the third. That's just to speed up your code if you want to look more professional. All right, now it's your turn. I want you to try and create a variable called my name and set it to your name. So I'm going to write these out for you. Create a variable called, let's say my name here, and set it to your name. Think it can do create a variable called, perfect. Look at that. That is true intelligence. And create a variable called, we won't do my hobby, we'll say likes pizza. And we will set it to true or false. Okay, when you have those all figured out, I want you to print it out in a sentence like this. So, hi, my name, or I'm John. I'm 14 years old. Do I like pizza? True. Okay, so take some time right now, try and create those, and I'll show you the solution in just a second. Okay, so I've given you some time to do that on your own. Hopefully you've created a variable called my name, a variable for my age, and then likes pizza. If I do these quickly and see if this will autofill for me, just to keep it a little bit faster for you to see, it will complete all of these. There we go. And this is going to be likes pizza. That should be our solution for us. So, hi, I'm whatever my name is, my age, and likes pizza. If you wanted to take this a little bit further, you can create some more code. And depending on what you've tried to create or done or made on your own, paste it in the comments below, and we'll see what you've come up with.